thinking laterally. Now, I don't know if any of you has heard about lateral thinking. Any of you, Labdi, Omkar, Rashmi, Nidhi, or Ravneet, have you heard of this phrase lateral thinking? Any of you has done that? Let me ask Labdi. Labdi, have you heard of this thing called lateral thinking? Yes or no, Labdi? No.
No.
All right. No. All right. Let's ask Omkar. Have you heard?
No, it's about keeping multiple lines of thought open and being flexible probably too.
Yes. So Omkar is right. It may not be multiple thought, different ways of thinking, but it means that you should just let your mind follow one train of thought, because sometimes then other possibilities are closed to you when your mind is only going in one direction. So good, Omkar. Now, so Omkar, see, I've the motto of lateral thinking is you cannot dig a hole in another place by digging the same hole deeper. In other words, if your mind just goes down one track, you're not going to be able to take another direction at all, and therefore you might miss the point altogether. Now, Omkar, now here's one of these these exercises, questions that are given for lateral thinking. There are 6 eggs in the basket. There are 6 people, each take 1 egg. How can it be that there is still 1 egg left in the basket? Come on, Omkar.
But one person also had the basket.
Absolutely right, Omkar. So you see, Omkar is thinking laterally. Anybody in the chat box said anything? Nosheen? Nosheen, anybody in the chat box answer the question?
No, ma'am, no comments.
Okay, anyway, that's because Omkar was very quick off the mark, right? Yes, the last person takes the egg and the basket. Now, if you were just thinking in one direction, oh, there are 6 people, each has taken an egg, then sometimes you would just get confused as to how is it possible that there will still be an egg left in the basket, because you're thinking 6 eggs, 6 people, each has got an egg in their hand, but then you don't consider the possibility that there may be one person has taken the egg but has taken it along with the basket. Okay, so this is what lateral thinking is all about. And if you have looked at the slides that were posted on Telegram, there's a lot of lateral thinking that you were encouraged to do. So I'll just ask another question, since Omkar is very adept at this. Omkar, you know all about lateral thinking. So tell me, who invented the term lateral thinking? And anybody who wishes can also put it in the chat box. I'm not only asking Omkar. Which of these 4 people invented lateral thinking, Omkar?
Ma'am, Daniel Kahneman has written a book about that.
Daniel Kahneman, according to Omkar, has written a book on lateral thinking.
Thinking Fast and Slow.
Thinking Fast and Slow is not lateral thinking. Very good, Omkar. Have you read Daniel Kahneman's book?
I don't remember exact.
No, but he won a Nobel Prize. You know that, no? For his work on using his Thinking Fast and Slow in economics and other areas of human endeavor. The answer is not Daniel Kahneman. So anybody else? Yeah, Ravneet?
Edward de Bono.
Who said?
Edward de
Ravneet, very good. Yes. Anybody in the chat box? What have they said, Nosheen?
Ma'am, here also they have said Edward de Bono.
They have said Edward de Bono, which is right. This man, he had a very long name. It was Edward Charles Francis Publius de Bono. Okay? And you notice that he has a name that is not terribly, it sounds English, but this business of de suddenly coming in over there is not what we normally see in English names or surnames. Okay, and that's because he's Maltese. Okay, Maltese is a person who comes from what? From which place? Anyone can tell me? Which place does a Maltese person come from? Anybody in the chat box also answering? Nidhi, where does somebody who's called a Maltese come from? Any idea?
Chat box, ma'am, they are answering.
Yeah, so tell me, what?
Malta. They have written Malta.
Okay, Malta, absolutely right. And let's ask the people in the chat box. What is Malta? Where is Malta? Do you know where Malta is, Omkar?
Somewhere in Europe near Italy, I think.
Somewhere in Europe near Italy. Not bad. But what is it? What are they saying?
They are saying Europe, ma'am.
Yeah, everybody's saying Europe.
Someone else saying Brazil.
Completely wrong. It's not near Brazil. Malta is an island. Okay, it's an island by itself. It's a republic. Somebody has not muted themselves. And anyway, it's an island, and it is not far from an island which is part of Italy, and that is Sicily. Sicily forms the toe. You know that Italy looks like a boot, and the toe of Italy is Sicily, and Malta is an island in the Atlantic Sea, which is very close to Sicily, although it is actually just a republic on its own. So he was a Maltese physician, and it was interesting. He was a Maltese physician who was a proponent of thinking how to think. So he felt that it was not enough to say think. It was that thinking is a process that can be learned, and it was something that he felt should be a subject in schools to teach people how to think for themselves, of course, not to think like how you think. And therefore, I think that Edward de Bono is a person after my own heart. Okay, good, because I insist that people should think. Okay, so now that we have been introduced to lateral thinking and who is the one who coined this phrase, that is Edward de Bono, let us go to case 1. All right, who would like to take case 1? I think we shall have Nidhi take case 1 because she's the most senior of all of you, and then we'll get the hang of how to do the other cases. Nidhi, are you okay to take case 1?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
come
on. Ma'am, may I read this?
Yes, please.
38-year-old female with a lump in central area of breast. On ultrasound, there is a shows retroareolar swelling by 1.6 into 0.9 to 0.6 centimeter in size, suggestive of a complex cyst. FNAC shows chronic mastitis with duct ectasia, and we have received a block for review with an outside histopathological examination diagnosis of intraductal carcinoma of breast.
Very good. So we have a cystic lesion in the breast which has been FNAC'd, called benign, and somebody has excised that breast lump. Yeah, come on, Manjari. Sorry, it's not Manjari, it's Rashmi. I'm sorry. Is it Rashmi? No, it is Nidhi. Come on, Nidhi, you just go on now.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in this we can see a cyst in which there are growth, like papillary growth, and multiple papillary growth in this we can see, ma'am. And I know there is hemorrhage also.
All right. All right, Nidhi. Yes, I asked you, and we were doing a little chatting before the
Yes, ma'am.
we started this slide seminar, and
Yes,
you
ma'am.
answered very correctly when I said, how do you on a day-to-day basis examine slides? And you said
ma'am.
that you will do, and maybe you can say it loudly now, what do you do when you start to examine a slide? And you said that you put it under 4x, isn't that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and then you look for some things. What do you do
Yes,
at 4x?
Ma'am, on scanner, we see the.
And this is a scanning view, you think that,
Yes,
because the
ma'am.
whole cyst is here, right, Nidhi?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So come on.
Ma'am, on scanner, we see if there is any abnormality, then we focus that area and we further move on 10x and then 40x. In this, we can see there are papillary growth. So
But 1 minute, Nidhi, you missed something, which you told me very clearly when we were having that chat.
we also see the normal structure of the.
So you look for normal structures, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you look to see if there is any abnormality. And then
Yes,
we were discussing what abnormalities, etc. Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
come on, do what you told me that you would do at low power.
Ma'am, in this we can see that there are ducts and lobules outside the cyst, which
Ducts
appears to
and
be
lobules outside the cyst. All right.
which appears to be
Nidhi, you know how to ask for annotation?
yes, ma'am. That's wiggle. Yes,
That's wiggle. Very good. Ask for annotation.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll just approve it. Yeah. Okay. Now you get the menu. Yeah, you got it.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Now please show me these ducts and lobules.
Ma'am, ma'am, in this here we can see these ducts.
You think
And
these are ducts and lobules?
Yes,
Nidhi,
ma'am.
Let's ask your colleagues. Okay. You've outlined it very well. So let's ask each one of your colleagues who are here. Lovely. She's
Yes,
outlined
ma'am.
them in blue. So you think that these are ducts and lobules?
Ma'am, I think that are arteries,
You think that they are arteries. In other words, you think that they are blood vessels, right? They are thick walled blood vessels. Agreed, Lovely?
Yes, yes,
All
ma'am.
right. Okay, let's ask Omkar. Omkar, do you think these are ducts and lobules? Or do you agree with Lovely that these are thick walled blood vessels?
The walls are thick, like we would get to know the lining epithelium once we go to higher power, but even in this, I feel that based on the presence of hemorrhage and the kind of the tissue surrounding it, they are blood vessels.
That they are blood vessels. Okay, Omkar, very good. He'd like to go to high power to check it out, but he thinks that they are blood vessels. Rashmi,
Vessels.
blood vessels. Okay, Ravneet,
Yes, ma'am. Vessels.
blood vessels. Now, Nidhi, everybody has decided that these are blood vessels. And Noshin, anybody in the chat box, what are they saying?
Ma'am, Dr. Anita, she has said that it could be a mesothelium lining.
It could be a mesothelial lining. But what Nidhi has actually outlined, that's what she thinks is mesothelium. I don't think so. I think she's talking about something else. But I think Nidhi, just look
Yes,
carefully, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, do you agree with your colleagues?
Yes, ma'am. I
This
agree.
is yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I agree.
You agree now that these are
Yes,
blood
ma'am.
vessels? All
Yes,
right. You can see blood inside the blood vessels, and
Yes,
you
ma'am.
see a great deal. You see, these were ducts, and they had such a thick
Wall.
lining. You should be able to see.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct? Okay,
Yes,
so these are blood vessels. All right. So now answer your own question, which you said that you would do when you first look at the thing. Is there any normal tissue? So now you didn't see the lobules and the ducts.
No,
So
ma'am.
any other normal tissue? No. So everything, according to you, is abnormal, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
and very good. And what abnormality did you see?
Ma'am, there is presence of papillary growth inside the cyst, and ma'am, the blood
There is a
vessels are.
cyst. So in other words, first, according to you, there is a cyst, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
You
ma'am.
think that abnormality is a cyst, and in that cyst, you've got some papillary growths. And of course, you talked about hemorrhage,
Yes, ma'am.
right? All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
Anybody has anything more or less to add at this power? Lovely? You agree?
There is wall thickening.
Okay.
One place.
There is wall thickening at one place. Lovely, you know how to ask for annotation?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. So ask for annotation. Did you ask? No, I haven't received. There you are. All right. Very good. Lovely. Come on. Show. Just mark that area which you think is a thickening in this cyst wall. You've got the menu now? Lovely.
Yes, ma'am.
Lovely has disappeared.
Ma'am,
You've got the menu. It's come. Where is it? I can't see your mark. Does anybody else can see the mark? No, I can't see the mark. You can't do it. All right. Perhaps she can't do it. But let me ask whether this is what she means. Is this what you mean, Lovely? Is this the thickening that you're talking about? Lovely, can you see my mark? No, Lovely's
Yes,
got internet problem. Yes, you can see it. Is that what you were trying to mark?
Yes, ma'am.
Lovely, please answer. Yes, so that was what you were trying to mark, and I'm marking it again. This is what you were trying to mark, Lovely?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So now, Nidhi, what do you think about this at low power?
Ma'am, I think there is a little bit mixoid changes in this.
There is a little bit of mixoid change.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is what you think,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Okay, but there is something else, no, besides just the cyst and these.
And there is necrosis. Ma'am, there is a slight necrosis.
Necrosis. I can't see necrosis at this power at all, but I can certainly see that there is outside the cyst wall. There happens to be, as Lovely said, a thickened area in which I see something that you have described as being blue, and therefore you think it is mixoid change. Okay, so everybody agrees that this is what we have seen. Okay, now 1 second. Let me just get out of this. Close this. Okay. All right. Now come on, Nidhi.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, there are some things that we do, and we'll come to that later. But one of them is, after you have decided what you are seeing, you decide where you want to go at high power. Now we've gone to higher power, okay?
Yes,
This is
ma'am.
25x. This is not 10x. From really a 2x, I moved to a 25x. Now, come on. Will you please describe this, Nidhi?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
Ma'am, here we can see two linings, myoepithelial cells and luminal cell both. And ma'am,
Myoepithelial cells and luminal cells.
yes, ma'am.
Once again, I want to know, where are these myoepithelial cells and luminal cells? Come on, ask for annotation, because you are not making an observation, you are making an interpretation. Okay, there's a difference between making an observation and making an interpretation. Now, if you have to make an observation, what would you say, Nidhi? What are you seeing?
Ma'am, there is an overgrowth. There is a papillary
All right, so you are seeing what you are called, even on low power, a papillary structure. Yes?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
You're
ma'am.
seeing a papillary structure. That's the observation that you're making. And then
Yes,
you have to talk about the
Pipe.
lining of that papillary structure, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, so what is the lining of that papillary structure now? How will you describe it? Is it one layer? Is it two layers? If it is
Ma'am, this is two-layered.
two layers, can you show me the two layers?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
And,
Ma'am, on this, not on
those
this.
who want to write in the chat box, say whether they think it's one layer or two layers. Then I'll ask Nidhi's colleagues. Yes. So now where is the two layers, Nidhi? If you want to ask for annotation in point, which are the two layers?
Ma'am, on high bar, we can see the two layers.
Nobody is agreeing with you in the chat box. Every single person is saying single, one layer. Nidhi, where is the second layer? That's what I want to see, because I agree with them.
Mhm.
There is only one layer. So can you
Okay.
please show me where is this this second layer, Nidhi? You asked for annotation? No.
Ma'am, I think ma'am, on high bar, we can see both the layers.
No, there are no two layers, Nidhi. There is only one layer. There is one layer, and there is that the nuclei are seen at the towards the stromal end. No, it's
Yes,
seen from the lumen. There is just one layer. There's something else that you
Ma'am, there is absence of fibrovascular core.
It has a fibrovascular core. Excellent. All right. Anything else you want to say about this, Nidhi?
Ma'am, ma'am, we can see hemorrhage inside us.
Hemorrhage. Okay,
yes, ma'am.
hemorrhage inside the fibrovascular core.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So come on, let's start. Ravneet, do you want to say anything more than what she has said? First of all, Ravneet, do you think it's one layer or two layers? I have said
No, it's one layer.
One layer.
One layer.
Excellent. So now what else do you notice over here? Because all of these things are extremely important. Observations have to be as carefully made as possible. So now what else do you see in this slide?
And on left side, I can see a thin papillary projection,
Yes.
and which are tapering at the top. And on the right side of the image, these papillas are getting a little bit arborizing.
Little bit harder. Now we
Yes.
talked about the papilla. Is there anything besides the papilla that you want to add? Anything? All right. If you think
Hemorrhage,
hemorrhage, that's also what she said. Okay.
fibrovascular core.
All right. Come on, Rashmi. Anything?
No, ma'am.
Nothing. All right. Omkar.
Ma'am, I think these are papillae with a single cell lining. But
Yeah,
in the
that's
image
that's what we have agreed,
yes,
Omkar.
in
Lovely.
the-
Oh, sorry. You wanted to say something else. Okay,
Yes.
finish, Omkar.
sorry, in the slide image to the left,
Hmm.
towards the left hand side, there appears to be a duct-like structure, which I don't interpret as the lining of the papilla itself. It's like
So you mean that there's a thing, there's a cuboidal lining, right? Yes, that's fine. And from that,
Yes.
you are interpreting this as a papilla. Okay, good. Lovely. Anything else you want to add?
I can see some muscle fibers beneath the
Fantastic, Lovely. You are seeing some longitudinally placed thin muscle fibers. What kind of muscle is that, Lovely? And it is present in the wall of that cyst. So what was said? Let me just make my pointer into a laser pointer. All right, can you see my laser pointer? Yes. So here you have
Yes.
the cyst lining. There is the papillary process. Yes. And in the wall of the cyst, you see this muscle. Yeah, you can see it here too. That is a very good observation, Lovely. All right. Everybody's eyes were concentrated only on that papillary structure because it's simply hitting you in the eye. But Lovely also saw that there is a muscle layer. You can see this. It is a defined muscle layer that is around this cyst. Now, Lovely, I'm asking you, what kind of muscle is this? How many kinds of muscles do you know, Lovely? What are the
Skeletal
muscles that you know of? Smooth muscle and
Smooth muscle.
smooth muscle. And third muscle? Anybody write in the chat box or answer? Striated muscle is skeletal muscle, the cardiac muscle, right? Yes, cardiac muscle is sort of in between smooth and skeletal muscle, and it branches, which neither of these muscles do. You don't get branching smooth muscle, nor do you have branching skeletal muscle. Now listen, you guys, you have to go back to doing a little bit of homework on your histology, okay? Normal histology. Okay, so now we have muscle over here. Nidhi, anything going through your head now?
No, ma'am.
Nothing. There's muscle over here.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
What
there
does
is
that mean to you, Nidhi? It's okay. Yeah, there's a cyst. There's a cyst in the breast, and in the breast we've got smooth muscle bundles that are lining this large cyst.
yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's what you think, Nidhi. Have you looked at cystic disease of the breast, Nidhi, anytime? I mean, it's a very common disease, so you must have, right?
Ma'am, there are inflammatory cells.
No, I don't want to know about the inflammatory cells. I'm asking you, have you ever seen smooth muscle in the lining of a cyst in the breast?
No,
You know, that's what I'm asking you, Nidhi. How many cysts have you seen in the breast? Have you seen or you not seen?
ma'am, I've seen.
You've seen. Yeah, you should have. No, I mean, you've already done quite a lot of months in histopathology. So,
ma'am.
Just think back and tell me, do you remember, have you ever seen muscle in the wall of a breast cyst? And all of you, while Nidhi is thinking, all of you think, okay? And let me ask somebody in the chat box said, no, it is not a cyst, it's a vessel, because there is smooth muscle over there. Now, do you agree with that, Nidhi? And Nidhi, somebody in the chat box said it was a vessel.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
think it's a vessel? Because there's smooth muscle in the wall. You agree?
Ma'am, yes, it could be.
It could be. And all of this is endothelial lining, you think?
Mhm.
Huh? No, so don't say it could be, Nidhi. We are trying to arrive at some concrete observations, which we will then use to make an interpretation, okay? And
Yes,
not just shrugging your shoulders and saying, yeah, could be. I can't remember what a cyst in the breast looked like. Come on now, Omkar, you remember a cyst in the breast? Have you seen anytime?
Yes,
You have, no, Omkar? Was that a smooth muscle lining? Thick lining like this of smooth muscle. It's not one little fiber here or there. There is a huge, thick, smooth muscle lining. Omkar, you seen such a thing before in the breast? He can't remember. Because, when we look at things, we do not really study them. All right, Rashmi. Chalo, Rashmi, what will you say?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. You've never seen a lining like that. Very good. Ravneet, what? Have you seen? And Ravneet cannot remember, and I don't blame you.
No, ma'am.
You remember and you say no. Lovely, now you saw the smooth muscle. Now please tell me, have you ever seen smooth muscle in a cyst in the breast? Forget whether it has papillae or no papillae. Any cyst in the breast. Oh, of course, cysts in the breast are lined by cuboidal epithelium. Yeah, some of them do show papillae. But do you ever see smooth muscle in the lining of a cyst? Lovely, full marks for
No, ma'am.
seeing the smooth muscle. No, ma'am. So now, Nidhi, we have a problem. We have a cyst which is supposedly in the breast. Okay, and it's got papillary lining and it has got smooth muscle, which never happens. So what should we be doing at this stage now? Huh? What should we be doing? Nidhi?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, what should you be doing at this stage? When suddenly now I'm seeing a cyst, I'm seeing a papillary lining, and I'm seeing smooth muscle in the wall. So, and it doesn't happen in the breast. So what should you be thinking in your mind? Okay, that's why this is called lateral thinking. That's why I introduced you to Edward de Bono. So now you have to stop thinking in one direction. Okay, and we have to think outside of that direction. And what is that we have to do outside of this direction, Nidhi? Now look at it. People wanted to see it at high power. See it at high power. What are you seeing, Nidhi, at high power? Now you can see that there's only one layer, Nidhi.
Yes, ma'am.
But you said that you had examined this and you saw 2 layers, and not only did you see 2 layers, Nidhi, you went on to say, I can see epithelium and myoepithelium. Can you see that now?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. So you were being deceived. Your mind was deceiving you because your mind was going down the track that this is a cyst in the breast. No, Nidhi?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. And therefore I should see epithelium and myoepithelium. So you see what is not there. Your mind is seeing what is not there, and therefore you are hallucinating. That is what is a hallucination. Isn't that the definition of a hallucination, Nidhi? You know what is a hallucination, right? I hope you know. You must have done psychiatry.
Yes,
when you were in medical school. Okay.
Yes,
So did you now tell me about this lining?
Yes,
Tell
ma'am.
me carefully and tell me how you will describe this lining.
Ma'am, this is a cuboidal lining of cuboidal cells. These are cuboidal cells. And
About cuboidal, Nidhi. Now, please, you refuse to look. That's your problem, Nidhi. And this is very, very sad because you are not paying attention over here. Because I said it was cuboidal, and yes, here it is cuboidal. Look at the rest of the lining. Would you call that cuboidal? And if you're calling it cuboidal, then I'm very sorry, Nidhi. There is something very wrong with the way that you have your concepts with what is cuboidal. What is this lining over here?
I'm columnar.
So then now it's become columnar. If it's not cuboidal, it has to be columnar. Huh? It is columnar. You can clearly see that this is columnar over here, and you can see that the nuclei are at the periphery. That means it is basal. The nuclei are placed in a basal position. You can see this columnar lining. Is there anything else that you notice about the columnar lining? What is it towards the lumen?
Ma'am, there is some hobnailing of the cells.
Well, yes, there is what looks like little snouts, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Hobnailing is not about snouts. What's the difference, Nidhi, between a hobnail and a snout? And you get that concept corrected now. And I'll ask you, if you can't explain, I'll ask each of the others. What is the difference between a hobnail and a snout? First of all, what is a snout? What is a snout, Nidhi? Or anybody can tell me. Omkar, what is a snout?
The extension of the cell towards the direction of fluid.
Yeah, but you know what a snout in English is? What does it mean? Ramdeep?
Distal
It means?
nose.
Yes, exactly. It is a nose. It's a protruding
Nose. Protruding nose.
That is what a snout is. And the most important, or I would say, example of a snout is a pig's snout. You see, the pig's nose and mouth are more or less, together, and that is called a snout. Okay, so a nose-like projection is called a snout. So now, Nidhi,
Yes, ma'am.
what are you seeing? Are you seeing snouts or are you seeing hobnails?
Some snouts.
Now, so now tell me what is a hobnail, Nidhi? Since you have chosen snout for this, then what's a hobnail?
Ma'am, it's budding out. Ma'am,
Budding out? This is also budding out.
I'm in sense.
So what is a hobnail? Anybody else?
I think the hobnail will come from the nucleus.
All right, yeah, what is a hobnail?
It's a nuclear change, and not
It's
just.
a nuclear change. What is that nuclear
It
change?
comes
Yeah, somebody else was speaking. Who's that?
when the nucleus comes at the tip of the cell and put it.
So now Ravneet is absolutely right. Okay, what is a hobnail? A hobnail is, 1 minute, I'll draw a hobnail so that you guys know what is a hobnail once and for all. Okay, what is a hobnail? You have a cell which has, here what you have got is a columnar cell. Okay, and the nucleus in this case is here. And you have got something protruding from this, which is a snout. Okay, a hobnail is when you have a cell in which it's like this. It's bulbous at the top. That's not what I wanted. It's bulbous at the top. Yes, this thing refuses to do it. I don't understand why. Anyway, it's bulbous at the top, and it is bulbous because the nucleus is protruding into the lumen. Okay, this is the nucleus, and that's the rest of the cell. And here is the lumen into which that nucleus is protruding. So the nucleus of a hobnail cell is never at the bottom; it is at towards the lumen. So that is what is a hobnail cell. Has everybody got this right, Nidhi? Have you got it right, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, absolutely. You have to know this. So you cannot call this a hobnail. So you have got some snouts, and if you look very carefully, you can actually see cilia. Everybody may not be able to see it, but you can, if you just stare at it very carefully, right here where I've got my, you can, the cursor, I don't know if you can see my cursor, 1 second. I shall show you my cursor. At this point, you can see that there is a fuzzy outline to those cells right here, and those are cilia. So we have got a cyst, we have got papillary structures that are growing inwards into the cyst, we have smooth muscle lining, we have got snouts, and we have got cilia. Nidhi, what are we thinking now? Somebody has already written it. See, look at the cilia. Can you see? You can see the cilia here, and this is a really high power, and you've got the snouts. And this is columnar epithelium with the nuclei towards the periphery, and you can see the cilia. And of course, you've got this smooth muscle lining. All right, very good. Now we come to the thickened area. So what are you seeing over here now, Nidhi?
Ma'am, in this, we can see the mixoid changes, bluish color.
Mixoid change, okay. Then?
Ma'am, in this, there is some pleomorphic cells are visible.
Some pleomorphic cells are visible, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You know,
And
Nidhi, 1 minute. That is not any kind of description. I don't know if you have ever been at any of my slide seminars, but if you have not, or even if you have, when you are describing, you have to be my eyes. In other words, if I have not seen this before, you have to describe what you're seeing so that I can see. So by saying that I see some myxoid and I see some bizarre cells, or whatever you said, pleomorphic cells, does not in any way help me to see what you are seeing. Do you understand what I'm saying, Nidhi?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So come on. Please do not do this thing in a random way. What are you seeing? Now you have already described that there is a cyst, there are papillary structures which you can see over here. How are you going to describe to me, somebody who has not seen this at all, what is going on in the depth of that cyst, in the wall of the cyst? Chalo, in the wall of the cyst is seen what?
I mean, the wall of cyst, we can see some myxoid changes. There are cells with the there's pleomorphism we can see, and the cells.
You have not got my point at all. Will one of you try, please, Omkar?
In the wall of a cyst, in one focal area where the wall is thickened, we can see a bluish discoloration, which may be a myxoid change that is compressing, that is covering a lumen, which may be
Covering a lumen.
Sure.
All right. To cut a long story short, how would I describe it? Okay. You saw the rest of the cyst, right? Did you see what is in the cyst wall over here? Is the cyst wall cellular, or is it not very cellular? Omkar?
Not
You've got smooth muscle and you've got loose areolar tissue. Agreed?
some yes, ma'am.
Yes. All right. And then some inflammatory cells. What are we seeing here? In the wall of the cyst, you suddenly see a very cellular proliferation. Yes or no? So why is that myxoid hitting everybody in their face? This is the problem. The cyst hit you, the papillae hit you in the face, all sorts of things. The smooth muscle never even came into anybody's vision except for Love's. Now what can you see here? This whole area is extraordinarily cellular. Look at it. It's very cellular, and much of that cellularity is made up of what? Myxoid change? No. What is much of this cellularity made up of? What is it made up of? Come on. I don't think that you should have any problem telling me what it is, what kinds of cells are making up that cellular area. What kind of cells are making up this? This is the cellular area. Everybody can see it. You can see that these are all cells inside, and they're all cells. Why? Because they have got nuclei. You can see this. So this is a cellular area, and the majority of the cells in that cellular area are clear. Can you see that they have clear cytoplasm? You can't make out that the cytoplasm is clear. Of course you can make out that the cytoplasm is clear. And then you see there are foci in which you have myxoid change. It's a focus that is circumscribed. It has myxoid change, in the center of which you see a space, irregular space, lined by something that looks like an epithelium. You can't make out at this far. And you see these small papillary projections into that space. Okay, so that's what you are seeing, and you can see the space again just outside that myxoid area. It's very clearly seen. So now what is the problem? You can see this, but you're not describing it. Myxoid is all that I am hearing. So if I haven't seen the slide and I am told that there is a cellular area outside the cyst which has a single lining, it's got smooth muscle in the wall, that cyst has got cuboidal and columnar lining, which has got snouts and ciliary epithelium, and it has got this sort of thing in the wall, and there is a lot of hemorrhage inside the cyst, then Nidhi or Omkar or Rashmi or Ravneet, what will you think of? What will you think of? What will you think of? That this is very unlikely to be something from just breast. Yes, because I've seen nothing that tells me that this is breast. And the first thing that I would want to look at if this were the breast is what? Where is the adipose tissue? And that is what Nidhi started with. No, I must look for normal tissue. And the normal tissue that I would like to look for in the breast is, of course, the breast ducts and the breast lobules. But I would like to see adipose tissue. Where is the fat? Can I take out anything from the breast? Okay, without taking out a bit of breast stroma and breast fat. Have you ever had anything removed from the breast which didn't have any fat? Yeah, Nidhi, have you? And the answer is no, ma'am. So why isn't this so? I'll have to go back to my rules. Okay, stop my annotation. Good. Now you look at this at higher power, Nidhi, and what does it resemble?
Hypercellular. Ma'am, it is in hypercellular section. And
hypercellular section. Yeah, cellular. Yes, okay.
Hypercellular section. And ma'am, the cells.
Now do you see these cells or you don't see the cells? They are multinucleated. Multinucleated cells. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
It's lining, and there are these multinucleated cells, and there is this myxoid stroma. You can see that, and now you begin to see all of these other cells which are very cellular, very pink cytoplasm. And here in the top left-hand corner, you can see, and here too, look at these cells which are so clear. Box-like cells with a box-like cytoplasm, which means that you can see the cytoplasmic membrane. Okay. And you can see these other cells which look multinucleated and in many places look somewhat pleomorphic or bizarre. All right. Look at it at even higher power. What is it reminding you of now that we know what the cyst looks like, how it has a muscle wall, how it is ciliated, how it's got these papillary projections, and a lot of hemorrhage?
And trophoblast.
Yes, somebody said something. Yes,
Trophoblast.
Trophoblast. And somebody has written villi. Yes, here you have the villi. Absolutely. Somebody in the chat box, a long time ago wrote, it looks like fallopian tube. And somebody else wrote that this was probably not breast. Okay. So Nidhi, what was your diagnosis? And if you want to see, here you can see pan-CK. Of course, it is positive. Okay, and this may not be the best picture in the world, but those cells are GATA3 positive. You can see the GATA3 that is present in the lining over there. So if somebody says go and do GATA3 and it is positive and the CK is positive, people will think, this is breast. But what I wanted to tell you also is that GATA3 and CK can be seen in lots of other things, and they don't necessarily happen to be breast. Okay, so these are our observations, Nidhi. Will you read the observations now?
Yes, ma'am. Cystic structure containing blood, papillary epithelium lining the cyst. Epithelial cells show some apical projections. A cystic and solid proliferation of clear cells, multinucleated cells with a focally myxoid stroma present in the wall of hemorrhagic cyst. Both component express PEN CK. The clear cell express GATA3.
Very good. So now, what does it tell you, Nidhi? What's
Ma'am.
your diagnosis? What was your diagnosis, Nidhi?
Ma'am, ectopic pregnancy.
Ectopic pregnancy. And despite that, you were seeing breast ducts. You get ectopic pregnancy in the breast.
No, miss. No.
What was your diagnosis when you first saw this? That you saw breast ducts and you saw double layer and epithelium with myoepithelium. When you came here, Nidhi, what was your diagnosis?
Ma'am, I thought that there is both benign and malignant part. In that papilloma, I was considering it as duct papilloma. And ma'am, in that myxoid change, I was thinking that the pleomorphic cell has came out of the lumen and it is invasive ductal carcinoma.
Exactly. All right. So that's what you thought. So can I ask Lavdi, what was your diagnosis before we came to this lateral way of thinking? Lavdi, what was your diagnosis?
And I was also thinking of ductal papilloma, and that myxoid change, I could not interpret that.
Okay. Very good. Come on, Omkar, what did you think?
In ductal papilloma, till I saw the giant cells. And
Till you saw the giant cells. Achha. They were hiding from you. Before that, Rashmi, what did you think?
Ma'am, I think yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I think some cystic lesion of breast. Which,
Cystic lesion of the breast. Okay. Ramneet?
Ma'am, I think choriocarcinoma of the breast. I saw syncytial trophoblast there and multinucleated giant cells, and it was looking like a little bit of chorionic villi. But I was biased by the history, so I searched for choriocarcinoma in the breast or choriocarcinomic features of the breast carcinoma.
Okay. All right. So at least you noticed that there was something.
Syncytial trophoblast. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
But you didn't notice that this was fallopian tube.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes,
I
you
didn't
noticed that it was fallopian
Yes,
tube. But this is not a made up case. Okay. This was not papillary neoplasm, intraductal papilloma, some invasive carcinoma, malignant tumor rising in a papilloma. It's none of the above. Okay. And here I come to how does one make observations on low power? None of you have a system for making observations, whether it's on low power or on high power. Okay. And no matter how many times I have given you this bit of gyan, I'm not asking you to follow it, but you don't follow it, then you must have some better gyan or some other gyan by which you will arrive at an appropriate observations and appropriate interpretations. Okay. I'm not that kind of teacher who says you will do it this way and this way only. But I have come to the conclusion that no matter what way you guys do it, you never bother to make observations in a systematic fashion. So I am giving you some kind of way, a system to help you to make observations. And I ask 5 questions of myself. And I've stopped asking these except when I am in trouble. Okay. And I am in trouble on many occasions. I don't know what I'm looking at, but I ask myself these questions. And I certainly ask myself these questions on this particular case. Okay. And these questions were what? Is there any normal tissue? And the moment I ask myself this question, and we will see how it goes. Next question, is there any abnormal tissue? The third question, what is the relationship of the normal to the abnormal? Fourth question, if there is an abnormal, is there a pattern to this abnormal? Okay, and I don't do things in a higgledy-piggledy fashion. I then decide where should I begin my high-power examination. 5 questions, that's all you have to do. And when I ask, what are the 5 questions you will ask? So many people tell me blah, 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 and they know the questions, but they never apply it. Okay, so it is a force of habit that you people have of memorizing things, but never applying to a real life situation. Okay, this is what happens from, I don't blame you guys because you are being to too many coaching classes, and that's what coaching classes do to you. All right, so now the observations on low power. Is there any normal tissue? Yes or no, Nidhi?
No, ma'am.
Yeah, what is the normal tissue you should be looking for?
Ma'am, ducts and lobules and adipose tissue.
Yeah, and there is
And
a
stroma,
one
and stroma.
streak of adipose tissue in this thing. And if you had done this exercise and done it like you said you do, which frankly you do not do, okay, ever, if you had done it sincerely, some bit of thing would have gone into your head. I'm not seeing ducts, I'm not seeing adipose tissue. Let me go further and see what I can find. So the answer is no, there is complete absence of adipose tissue over here. All right, next question. Is there any abnormal tissue? Yes or no, Nidhi?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Of course, there is abnormal tissue. You
Yes,
don't expect to find trophoblast and stuff like that. Whether in the breast, you only find it in the uterus. No, and we're not looking at the uterus. This is somewhere else. It's in the stroma. Yes, so there is. Okay, and now which should be my next question? Should it be what is the relationship of the normal to the abnormal? How can I ask the question? Because there is no normal, so I cannot ask this question. So is there a pattern to the abnormal, or should it be the third thing? Where should I begin my high power examination? If it were you, Nidhi, number one is out because there is no normal here. So what would you do? Is there a pattern to the abnormal, or where should I begin my high power examination? What would you
Ma'am,
do?
there is a pattern. Ma'am, there is a pattern.
Oh, so there is a pattern. And what is that pattern? You want to look at the pattern. Is that it? Or what? I'm not asking you, is there a pattern? This is the question you have to ask yourself. Is there a pattern to the abnormal? These questions are to be asked to yourself, not to somebody else. And I'm not asking you that question. So,
Ma'am, first we'll look at the architecture, then we'll go to go deeper, then we'll see the
so
cells.
that I need to now look at the high power examination. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Where should I look? Because everything is not making sense to me in this case. Because I'm being told that it is a breast cyst. Yes, it looks like a cyst, but yet I do not see any breast tissue. So I have to go now and see where I should begin my high power examination. Okay. And you know what that high power examination is? The high power of my cerebral cortex. Because I'm not using my cerebral cortex so far. I have not. None of you have. None of you did use your cerebral cortex at all. And this is the meaning of lateral thinking. Okay, you have to ask, why is there no normal tissue? And yet there is abnormal tissue. And there are 3 answers to that question. That the normal has been completely replaced by the abnormal, or is the normal not been included in the biopsy? Or perhaps the tissue does not belong to the designated site. So if my high-powered cortex, my cortex is actually thinking, these are the 3 thoughts that my brain should be asking. Okay, so now choose, Nidhi.
Yes, ma'am.
What? Which of
Ma'am,
these
tissue does not belong to the designated
Very
site.
good. That is the answer to this question. The tissue does not belong to the designated site. Okay. So what is this abnormal tissue? Now, of course, you know what it is because we have already done it, but we can do this exercise. Okay. What is it, Nidhi? How do we do this exercise? If I didn't know, and if I hadn't told you that, look, this, that, how do we do this exercise? We start with some algorithm. Okay. And the algorithm starts, is it congenital or acquired? And what do you think, Nidhi?
Acquired.
It is acquired. All right. Is it the next question that we always ask ourselves in any diagnostic algorithm is it physiological or pathological? What are you going to say?
Pathological.
It's pathological. Everybody agrees that it is pathological? What, Omkar?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Rashmi? Ravneet?
Yes.
Ma'am, first picture is physiological.
Ah, it is, no?
Second picture is pathological.
First picture is, okay, sorry. Right, so we have this immunos, and you can see all that GATA3 over there. This is a physiological process, no? Pregnancy is a physiological process. It just means that this pregnancy has settled in the wrong place. So what is this? It's an ectopic pregnancy in the fallopian tube. That is what this is. You can get, a pregnancy that is in the wrong place. It may be implanted in the cervix, but you don't say that it is not physiological, right? It is very physiological to have deciduosis in the peritoneum and so on. It is not pathological it's not a choriocarcinoma. It is not an invasive mole. It's not placental site trophoblastic tumor. It is not a pathological process. It's a physiological process in which you have got ectopic pregnancy. It took place then, and the pregnancy was in the tube and it ruptured. Okay, so this is ectopic pregnancy in the fallopian tube. Now, a little while ago, Nidhi and Omkar and Rashmi and Ravneet and Lavdini, we were discussing if something is not neoplastic. After pathological, we ask the question, is it neoplastic or non-neoplastic? If it's neoplastic, we ask the question benign or malignant. If it is malignant, we ask the next question, primary or secondary, not what type. We always ask primary or secondary. And if it's primary, then of course, whatever the answer is. If it is non-neoplastic, then we need to ask each of these different sets of conditions. Okay, is this a question of cell injury, cell death, adaptations? That means necrosis, metaplasia, repair, regeneration, inflammation, vascular disorders. And I was asking about vascular disorders, and people could only tell me atherosclerosis. Which are the other vascular disorders? Ravneet, Omkar, you don't know embolism, infarction, none of this. That's all vascular disorders. Then there are diseases of the immune system. Okay, so one by one, when you have a non-neoplastic condition, you need to go through these, and it's all the different chapters that are present in Robbins. Okay, environmental and nutritional diseases, and of course metabolic disease like gout and changes in diabetes and whatever else we do. In this case, of course, now the answer is ectopic pregnancy in the fallopian tube. Now, have you understood what is the meaning of lateral thinking and how we were all going down one street, one train of thought, and that was this is a cyst in the breast. We never even bothered to look to see whether this breast situation was actually confirmed or not. Okay, very good. So why did this happen? Mislabeling of the tissue. Okay, it might be the primary mislabeling when somebody sent it to you, accessioning in the lab, grossing, transfer to the processor where you have switching of labels, blocking, switching, and so on, and slide labeling. Any of this can produce mislabeling of tissues. And this may not be of importance to you because you'll ask, who is going to ask me in the exam? I'm only interested in what happens in the exam. But you better be aware that this happens. And one fine day, you will need to investigate a mix-up. Okay, so you have to identify the tissue in the section, cut another section of the designated block in case the block has been switched. If the tissue in the section remains the same, then check all the tissues accessioned on the same day for a possible switch. If this does not this draws a blank, then check the tissues grossed at the same time on the same day. Then check all the blocks prepared at the same time. And if this tissue or block or slide, as it has in this particular case, been received from an extramural source, that means from some other lab, please ask the primary lab to check its records for a possible mismatch. Okay, and sure enough, there was a mismatch. Okay, and they didn't realize that this was not breast tissue, and they merely called it an intraductal carcinoma with invasion, which all of you did, by the way. All right. So lateral thinking, please, folks. All right, who's going to take case number 2? Lavdi, you want to take case number 2? Are you
Yes,
there,
ma'am.
Lavdi?
Yes, ma'am.
Is your internet good? Say yes, no,
Yes,
Lavdi. Yes. So come on, read.
Yes, ma'am.
Read,
Case
read.
50-year-old with a lab scapular.
Lavdi, I think your internet is not good. Can I give this to somebody else and you just see how you can sort your internet? Okay, Lavdi? All right. So the next person on my list is Omkar. Come on, Omkar.
Okay, so 50-year-old male with left scapular swelling, clinically very sebaceous cyst, and outside request for subtyping the adenocarcinoma.
Yes, so we got a block for review with a request for subtyping the adenocarcinoma. So the primary pathologist had made a diagnosis of an adenocarcinoma and wanted to know which adenocarcinoma was it that was present in the soft tissue of the scapula. Okay, very good. Come on.
And so since it was clinically a very sebaceous cyst, I would like to think of soft
Can
tissue.
you see the cyst or not? Here's the cyst.
Yes, the lining is
Nice
not
cyst
contained.
over here. Yeah, you can see the cyst, right? Can you see a cyst? Please say yes or no.
No,
Can you
ma'am,
see the
there's
cyst?
no continuous single cyst on my feet.
You can't see a cyst. Here's the cyst. Oh, sorry, I picked the wrong thing. 1 second. Can you see the cyst? Here is the cyst. Can everybody see the cyst? There is a cyst. So there is no doubt that there is a cyst. There it is. So there is a cyst. You can even see it in the upper part over here. There is a cleft-like lining. There is a cyst. Okay. Chalo now, come on. Omkar.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Omkar, this is. Do you realize now what power are you looking at this?
the
What is
whole
power?
slide scanner 2x or maybe lower.
Yeah, 2x. Okay. Very good. So you're looking at 2x. So now you have to ask yourself the 5 questions. Yes, Omkar? Humor me. Even if you don't want to ask yourself the 5 questions and answer them. What is the first question you're going to ask yourself?
Whether I'm seeing any normal tissue.
Very good. Am I seeing any normal tissue? So answer the question.
No continuous cyst lining.
There's no continuous cyst lining. That is normal. That like, a cyst is a normal structure, is it?
No.
What are you supposed to do? What normal tissue should you be trying to
Skin,
see?
skin,
You know where this is
skin.
supposed to be, Omkar?
Scapular swelling, ma'am.
Where is it supposed to be?
I would say it's a scapular swelling, so I expect to see
It's saying
skin,
a scapula.
then
Yes,
subcutis, and
it
then
is saying
some
a scapular swelling. So what should the soft tissues of the scapula? So what should you be seeing?
skin below that, the subcutis, and below that.
So yes, you should. If they remove the skin, but obviously they haven't. So subcutis, yes. So skin, subcutis. What else? What
Connective
else?
tissue of the fascia.
The
Also
fascia.
some
Then what else?
blood vessels.
Aye, Baba, blood vessels. Yes, any blood vessels are everywhere. What else? What do you see above the scapula? Huh? In the scapular area. Come on, Labdi, what do you see in the scapular area? At least you can answer one question with through your internet.
Ligament,
Ligaments, okay, what else? He said
muscles.
that.
Muscle, lymph nodes.
Muscles. So you should look for skin, subcutaneous tissue, fascia, ligaments, muscle, right? If you reach the scapula, then you reach bone. But this is outside of the scapula. Now, we have already done this, Omkar. So please tell me, do you see skin? Do you see subcutaneous tissue? Do you see, fascia? Do you see ligaments? Do you see muscle? Chalo.
Ma'am, no to the first four. For muscle to conclude, I think higher power.
For muscle, you still need to go on hyper. How does muscle look? Omkar?
Eosinophilic and with
How
nuclear.
do you recognize muscle even at the lowest power? You never have to go
It
for
being a
hyper.
continuous,
And which muscle are we talking about, Omkar? What muscle are we talking about?
striated muscle. Striated.
Striated muscle.
Skeletal
Excellent. Skeletal muscle. Yeah, Dr. Sayed has said skeletal muscle. So now tell me, how does skeletal muscle look? And you cannot miss it, even at low power. So,
There
come
will
on,
be
Jyoti.
bundles.
I'm sitting until 11 o'clock. Huh?
There will be bundles together.
Yes, bundles together. Thank you, Omkar. I know that. But why am I saying that it hits you in the eye? Just like that myxoid was hitting you and the cyst was hitting you and the hemorrhage was hitting you. What? Why? How do we know? By just looking at it. Somebody's telling you in the chat box. Rashmi,
Eosinophilic cytoplasm with
Rashmi,
distant nucleus.
are you there, Rashmi?
Yes, ma'am.
So how do we know?
Nucleus.
Nucleus. Rashmi, I will now. This is too much.
Densely eosinophilic.
Densely eosinophilic. It is brightly eosinophilic.
Eosinophilic.
You
Dense.
cannot miss muscle, skeletal muscle under low power. So you should get that. And people in the chat box are prompting that this muscle is bright. It's not just dense, it is bright. Eosinophilia. And all of you who are doing, histopathology have to know, particularly today we are only one man. There are 4 ladies, and ladies should know. I'm not saying that men should not know, but ladies take an interest in what shades of color. I will never wear a non-matching blouse. No, with my sari, I go and take it. When I'm matching blouses, I go to the shop. I go to the light. I have to see the tinge of the color. I won't wear any red with any red sari. That's because there are shades of eosinophilia. There are shades of blue. And if the men don't do it, at least we ladies should be able to. And here you see something that is brightly, almost orangophilically bright, but that is not skeletal muscle. So what is it likely to be, Omkar?
Blood.
Right here.
Blood.
What's it likely
Blood.
to be? Blood. Exactly. All right. So bright eosinophilia with an orangophilic tinge is blood. Bright eosinophilia is muscle. There is nothing so bright. The next one that is not so bright but is still bright is fibrin. So all these different shades of eosin, staining, all of you should know. So I know one thing: I do not see any skeletal muscle over here, and you should also know that. Can you see any ligamentous tissue? And the answer is no. I don't see any ligamentous tissue either. I don't see skin. I don't see subcutaneous tissue. I don't see anything that looks like fascia, and I don't see any skeletal muscle. So what is this peculiar thing? All right, God knows. Maybe there is some tumor that is occupying. It is a tumor. It's very obvious that there is a tumor over here, but there is a cyst. There is no two ways about that. That there is a cystic. There is a cyst over here. We can see what kind of cyst it is at a different time. All right. So, is there any normal tissue? And what's your answer to that question?
No normal tissue.
No normal tissue. Is there any abnormal tissue?
Yes.
Yes, of course there is abnormal tissue, and it's this abnormal thing that is surrounding the cyst, and you can see all sorts of other things there. Can we answer the third question? What is the relationship of the normal to the abnormal? Yes or no?
There's no normal. So
There's no normal tissue, so I cannot answer this question. What is the relationship of the normal to the abnormal? Very good. Number 4. What is the pattern of the abnormal? What can you say about since this is all abnormal, we think it is all abnormal. What is the pattern? We can see a cyst, no? So there is a cyst in this, and there is a cellular area all around the cyst. That's what you can see. Yes, you can see a cellular area around the cyst, and you see 2 different kinds of tissue over here, cellular tissue. You see this kind of cellular tissue as I'm showing, and if people want to, if I can annotate that. All right, let me see if I can do this. Okay. All right, I see this blue or purple lobules, okay, or if you want to say nodules that are blue or purple in color. Yes, there they are again near the top. Can you see that? Am I making it up, Omkar? No, so it's there. You see these? And then there is this, you might want to call it blue, amphophilic, pink. It's pink and at the same time bluish, and it's surrounding this cyst. Okay, so I have got 2 different kinds of cellular areas in this particular low power field, and we agree that there is no normal tissue. So this is the pattern is, except for this nodularity, the rest of it, there's a cyst in the center, and there are sheets all over the sheets of cells in the rest of this tissue. Very good, Omkar. All right, now I have to clear this each time it doesn't go. Okay, now the nodules, Omkar. Chalo. This is the blue. We saw that
the first cellular, first kind of cellular.
That's right. The nodules that are looking blue. Come on. What do you have to say about them?
So these nodules show formation of glandular structures.
Okay, what do you mean by glandular structures? Please be precise.
A lumen lined by cuboidal appearing cells, at least at this power, which are
So,
single cells.
sorry. Now please ask for annotation because you people just talk and I don't know what you mean. Chalo. And Jaldi, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Come on. Show me where are these glandular structures that you are talking about.
Like this area that I've just circled, it has 4 of the glandular structures.
I can't see the circle. I think you've taken the first pen. It says Omkar there, but you have taken the first pen. The first pen is just click on that and it says disappearing ink. Please take the second one. Ah, there you are now. Now you're correct. Now what are you calling these? You're calling them glands.
Tubules.
Tubules. Okay. So what kind of tubules are they? What kind of tubules? A tubule, you can have a gland that is tubular, like the colonic glands, and you can have ducts that are tubular. Okay, so what are these? Are these ducts or are they glands? Huh? Come on, hold on. There are people who are answering, and I'm getting all kinds of answers in the chat box, which I will tell you.
Ducts.
Ducts. Very good, Omkar. These are ducts. You have large ducts. Okay, here where you can see, and then you have smaller ducts. Okay, but apart from that, Omkar, you are seeing some other structures here. Can you see them? They are not ducts.
They're tightly packed. They don't have a visible lumen. So
they don't have a visible lumen, but they are very purpley blue. Yes, you can see them. And they seem to be at the periphery of these ducts. Wherever there's a duct at the periphery, you are seeing these structures. So what are those structures now? Come on, you've got ducts. You've got something around the ducts. What are they? Somebody said something, and that's lovely. Yes, acini. So we are seeing some kind of structure which has got ducts and acini. Now, what are those things that have ducts and acini?
Salivary.
Yes, breast. When it is, you don't get acini in the breast. You get acini only when during lactation, or you get it in salivary gland, or you get it in the pancreas. Okay, so you are getting a structure of ducts and acini. Very good. Okay, so now let's get rid of the annotation. Let me get rid of this. Okay, so something is not right. Okay, now let's come to the other part, which is not so, dark blue or what about this, Omkar?
These are clusters of cells.
Now, Omkar, you'll get a knock on the head. You're very far away from me, so I cannot through the screen without destroying my screen, knock you on the head. But where are these clusters? You know what a cluster is, Omkar?
Sheet.
Cluster. Nidhi is saying sheet. You agree with her, Omkar? It's a sheet. This has got no structure at all. And whatever little things that you see falling apart over here have just fallen out from the sheet. Okay, this is a sheet. It's a sheet of cells. And what is the color of the sheet of cells, Omkar? What's the color? What is that word that you use? Somebody called Malay Mukhi is saying eosinophilic. Do you agree with Dr. Mukhi? Is it eosinophilic?
No, not
Correct. It's not eosinophilic. What is that?
Neither is it completely mesophilic. So
Hemlata is saying oncocytic. That's not a color. Okay, somebody is saying bluish tinge. Yes, bluish tinge is right. So what word will you use, Ramneet?
Ma'am, pale blue.
So it's amphophilic, no?
Amphophilic,
Some
yes.
people cannot agree on eosinophilic. Other people are saying blue. So it has to be somewhere in between. It is amphophilic. Okay, so this is amphophilic. You can see that. And what do you notice, Omkar, about this? About these cells? Look at them in hyper. What do you notice about them? They are in sheets. Yes. Now we're talking. That's the arrangement. Now we have to talk about the cell. Come on, Omkar.
the cells appear to have a centrally located nucleus.
Omkar, you always start with the nucleus. I don't have any objection. Start with the nucleus, but when people start with the nucleus, they forget the cytoplasm.
The cells have a lightly used
I've got a what?
amphophilic appearance.
Oh, thank you. We already said that. What do you do about cytoplasm, Omkar?
Abundant cytoplasm.
Abundant, okay. Is that
And
what you want to say about the cytoplasm? What did we say about the cells in the previous case, Omkar? What did we describe in the previous case about the cells in that cyst lining, also in the clear cells over there, which by the way were cytotrophoblast? Huh? What do we describe? Yes, Labdi? Do we not say shape and size and color? What's wrong with you guys?
The cells are polygonal. They have a nucleus as well as abundant cytoplasm. The cytoplasm appears to be lightly steel.
Like you say, means what? It's amphophilic, no? And maybe some of them are a little bit clear, but otherwise it's amphophilic. It's neither pink nor blue. Yes. Do you think these are large cells? They're small cells? They're intermediate cells? What? Are they small?
What?
No. Are they gigantic?
Intermediate.
No. Yeah. So they have a moderate amount of cytoplasm. Very good. What else? Well-defined cytoplasm.
They have well-defined borders.
Yes. I never hear all this thing. Okay. And the moment you say all of that, I might be blind, but I know what you're talking about because you have already described that there is something that has a ductal structure at the periphery with acini, and now you're describing sheets of cells which are monomorphic. I never heard that term from you, Omkar. Every cell looks like every other cell. It's monomorphic. The cells are cuboidal. You might call them polygonal, whatever word, as long as you don't call them spindle. They have an amphophilic cytoplasm, centrally placed, pale nucleus, and very inconspicuous nucleoli. All right. So, and then you have some little bit here and there of some bluish intercellular material. Okay. And here, Omkar, on the left, absolute left-hand side is that cyst that we were seeing. So, what is this cyst being? Why is that cyst there, Omkar? Huh, Omkar? You see the cyst? It's the space. Omkar, you disappeared?
No.
So why is that this cyst?
Part of the gland is shedded off.
It's not shedded. It's cystic change, right? So part of this this epithelium is the part of this sheet-like proliferation has undergone cystic change. Does it not happen in follicular solid follicular lesions of the thyroid? Yes, it does. You get cystic change. Okay, it is one of those degenerative changes that you see in solid proliferations. Very good. There is no lining to this cyst. Somebody in the chat box said that there is a lining to this cyst. There is no lining. This is merely cystic change in a solid proliferation. All right, excellent. So now come on, Omkar. You can see it. And now do you see this? Do you see these ducts? Okay, you see ducts, and then you see that tumor, which is intermingling with the ducts of that structure that you saw. Okay, so now what do you think? This is salivary gland, this is breast, this is pancreas. Do you think that this is lateral gland? What is it, Omkar?
No, it is not breast. salivary gland or pancreas, but considering the site, ma'am,
Yeah.
that is not leading me to these possibilities.
All right. So what is it? Do you think that this is a sweat gland?
This one.
You think it's a sweat gland?
Appendigeal
Right.
tumors.
Lovely. Omkar thinks that this is a sweat gland which has ducts and acini. What do you think, Lovely?
Sebaceous gland, I'm sorry.
Sebaceous
Appendigeal.
gland. That's right, which has ducts and acini. Very good. Lovely. What do you think?
Yes, ma'am.
What?
Ma'am,
What
it
is
can
this, ma'am?
be
Hydroadenoma.
It can be a hydroadenoma. I don't mind that, but you think that these are sweat gland, that this is a sweat gland which has ducts and acini, right? Lovely. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
Rashmi.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Salivary gland.
Oh, salivary gland or is it sweat gland? What?
Ma'am, sweat gland won't be so large. It will be just like
won't be so
next to the
large.
follicle. Like
It
it won't be.
won't be so large.
It won't be a sheet like.
So you're having second thoughts, Omkar, about sweat gland, but you think it is sebaceous. All right, good.
Acrine glands.
What? Apocrine glands.
Acrine glands.
Acrine, that's a sweat gland.
Acrine,
Who's saying
sweat
that?
gland.
Rashmi. Or Navneet.
Salivary gland.
Who's saying salivary gland now? Nidhi.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So where does the salivary gland come from, Nidhi? Okay. All right. Now you see this? What we described and so beautifully seen at high power. And in between you see these spaces. You see these spaces? They're not lined by anything. Okay. It's just spaces between this. And when these spaces coalesce, you will get a cyst. Okay. All right. So you know how to do these observations. We have done it. Okay. So let's go back again. Is there any normal tissue? What do
No.
you think?
No.
Omkar? Yes, no, or maybe?
No.
No. Why do you say that there's no normal tissue? You just
Because
said this is a sebaceous gland. Is that normal tissue or not normal tissue?
Even if it is not normal sebaceous gland.
Huh? You saw normal sebaceous. You saw the glands, no, with the ducts and the acini. So then why are you saying that this is not normal? No, you're saying it's a sebaceous gland, and you can expect a sebaceous gland in that area. So what? So come on now.
Ma'am, just the sebaceous gland, except for without having any other part of the skin. Ma'am.
Oh, all right. So you're saying no. So therefore, yes. According to you, the answer is yes. Except there is no skin and all that. TK, but you're saying sebaceous gland. According to you, very good. Navdi, what's the answer to this question? Yes. Okay. Rashmi, what's the answer to this question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Nidhi?
No, ma'am.
No. All right. I'll come back to you, Nidhi. Ravneet?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So let's ask Nidhi why she is not convinced by the four colleagues. Why, Nidhi?
Ma'am, I think it is a salivary gland.
You think it's a salivary gland. Explain to the others why you think it is a salivary gland.
Ma'am, because of the presence of ducts and acini.
Right? So they're saying that this is sweat or sebaceous gland. So please explain to them why it is not sweat or sebaceous. You can't just say, I think it is this. Tell them why they're wrong. Nidhi?
Ma'am,
Let me ask Nidhi. Does a sweat gland, eccrine or apocrine, whichever, and the sebaceous gland, does it have a duct?
no, ma'am. No.
Right? A sweat gland, apocrine gland, and sebaceous glands don't have ducts. Then how do they pour their secretion? Where do they pour their secretion? You don't have a sweat gland, you don't have a pore on your skin. What's wrong with you, Nidhi? It's not a duct. It's
Ma'am,
a duct.
ma'am, holocrine,
But
sebaceous
you don't talk about the secretion, I'm talking about the duct. Why are you confusing secretion with duct? Where does
Yes,
the sweat
ma'am.
come from? Where does your
Duct.
secretion come from?
Mm.
All right, so they have ducts. Excellent. Do they have acini?
No.
Nidhi, do they have acini?
No, ma'am.
You're saying that very softly. Are you
No,
sure? Do they have acini? What is being
No,
read?
ma'am.
Let the people in the chat box answer. Do sweat, apocrine, sebaceous glands have acini? What are they saying in the chat box? Sanjeev Kumar says no. I don't know what anybody else is saying. Venus Khan is saying yes. Then who else? Nobody else is answering in the chat box? Huh?
No, they
Ankita
are
says
saying-
no.
Malay Mukhi is saying yes, ma'am.
Somebody's saying yes. So there seems to be some major difference of opinion over here. Come on, guys. Now, this is not something that I really expected of you. Of course, there are no acini in sweat glands, in sebaceous glands, in apocrine glands. There are no acini, for God's sake. An acinus is a terminal secreting structure which joins all its secretions together and pours it into an intercalated duct. And then that goes into the interlobular duct. And then you have the main duct. It can only occur. See, you guys have got no concept of what is a gland. For God's sake, when we talk about salivary gland or the pancreas as an exocrine gland, or we're talking of the breast as a gland, or we're talking about the lacrimal gland, we are talking about an anatomical gland. Do you understand what is an anatomical gland? An anatomical gland is not a histological gland. A histological gland is like the glands that you see in the stomach, the glands that you see in the colon, the glands that you see apocrine, sebaceous, eccrine. Can you see them naked eye? Excuse me, answer the question.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Okay. But when I say salivary gland, when I say pancreatic exocrine gland, when I say lacrimal gland, when I say that the breast is a gland, can I see it naked eye?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's only the ones that I can see at naked eye, my friends, that have ducts and acini. Okay? Please. I don't know what is this confusion about. So you have anatomical glands and you have histological glands. Okay, you don't have acini in the stomach, you don't have acini in the colon, you don't have acini in the apocrine glands or the eccrine glands or the sebaceous glands. Oh dear. So is there any normal tissue? There cannot be normal tissue because Nidhi is right. This is not sebaceous or eccrine or apocrine, but she did not know why. She did not know why. Okay, so Nidhi, you were right, but for all the wrong reasons. Okay, so this is not a habit that you should make. So in other words, you just made a guess. Okay, so what's the answer to this question? The answer is no. There is no normal tissue over here because even if you expected any of these deep glands of the skin, you are not seeing them in this particular section. Very good. And here I'm explaining that because I know students in and out. Okay, and I know the confusions that you have. The normal tissue present is a lobulated exocrine gland, which is not a sweat gland or a sebaceous gland. Okay, see this. You have lobules where you have acini, you have ducts, and ultimately interlobular ducts, and there would be an excretory duct. This is what you see in a exocrine gland on the left hand side. Okay, you can see all these. You see the acini, you see the intercalated duct, you see the interlobular, or if it's in the salivary gland, you call it a striated duct, and then you have an excretory duct. That's not what you have here. There are no acini. You get a sweat coil. You understood? There is a coil that is sitting there, and that coil is making sweat, and that coil is connected to the skin through a duct, which then opens in a pore. Okay, if this is an apocrine gland, it opens through a pore through the hair apparatus. If it's an eccrine gland, it has a separate pore which takes it there, and of course you have the sebaceous gland, which also opens out into the hair apparatus. So that same hair shaft, excuse me, has got the hair. It has got the apocrine duct opening into it, and it's got the sebaceous duct opening into it. The eccrine gland is a completely separate structure. Now, please, have you got any problems about this? Clear it now. Omkar, do you have a problem?
No. No.
Are you sure? Are you sure? You said it very softly. What is
Yes,
your problem? Let me know. Do you have a problem?
Ma'am, when we are talking about identifying the normal tissue,
Yes.
since we are stating the site, so based on that, it's not normal.
There is no normal tissue.
Yeah.
Absolutely no normal tissue, because you would have expected skin, all its adnexa, etc. So then this is not. There is no normal tissue, because you are not seeing these kind of glands which are there on the right hand side. Okay, you didn't see skeletal muscle, you didn't see anything, did you? No. So now what is your mind thinking, dear Omkar? What is your mind thinking?
Again, about
We
the
know that
site,
there is a tumor, we know that there is a gland, and that gland is an exocrine gland. Okay, it's not the pancreas, then it could be the salivary gland, it could be the breast, it could be the lateral gland, but it is an exocrine gland, and we don't expect to find an exocrine gland in the scapular region. Yes, very good. So, is there any abnormal tissue? And here's the abnormal tissue. What's the answer to that question?
yes, there is.
Yes, excellent. So now, what is the next question? How is it possible that there is no normal tissue and yet there is abnormal tissue? So you've got three answers to that question. So now, which will you pick? You think the normal is completely replaced by the abnormal? What do you think, Omkar?
Still, I want to confirm site. That's why I'm.
You want to confirm the site. What does that mean? I'm telling you, it has come to us with it being in the scapular region. So what is it that you want to say, Omkar? Confirm
I
it.
want to say that salivary glands, ma'am, are not extending.
Are not seen over there, and this is not completely replaced. No, the abnormal is not completely replacing, because I am seeing normal salivary tissue. So has the normal not been included in this biopsy? No, there is some normal included in the biopsy, but that normal does not belong to the site. So therefore, what do you want to say, Omkar? What do you want to say? That this does not belong to the scapular region. Isn't that what you want to say? The tissue may not belong to the designated site. You want to confirm it means what? You know that it does not belong to that site. You should be absolutely certain that it doesn't belong to that site. It does not. Okay, so this tissue does not belong to this site. It is a salivary gland tissue, and you can see this. Okay, serous salivary gland is present, which is the parotid. There are diffuse sheets of cuboidal cells infiltrating normal parotid tissue. There's occasional acina formations containing mucoid secretion. You think you can get ectopic parotid in the scapular region, Omkar?
I'm not sure, ma'am.
No, I'm sure you can't get it.
No,
No,
parotid,
it's
no.
yeah, this is the thorax.
Not developmentally
Evidence
related.
of parotid being in the thorax? No. The cells are clear or granulated. Pseudocystic and pseudopapillary areas are noted. All right. So what is the diagnosis? Come on, Omkar. What is this abnormal tissue? Is it congenital or acquired?
Acquired.
Why are you being tentative? Acquired? What is it? Congenital or acquired? Malay Mukhi is saying acquired. Agree?
Acquired because there is that sheet-like derivation is not.
That's why it is acquired. Right? You think it's congenital? You think this patient had this congenitally? Huh? Sanjeev Kumar is saying congenital. Why? I don't understand. So this is a tumor. So this is a congenital tumor. Is it? Omkar? Do you agree that there's a tumor?
Yes.
All right. And somebody saying, please look at the age. Okay. Do you know the age of the patient?
55.
Oh, so it's unlikely that it is congenital. So Dr. Malay is absolutely right. Very good. So this is acquired. It is not. It is pathological, for God's sake, and it is neoplastic. Okay. So is it benign or malignant? It's infiltrating normal salivary gland. So it has to be malignant. Okay. So is it primary or secondary? And the answer is it's an acinic cell carcinoma of the parotid. So you can't get an acinic cell carcinoma of the parotid in the scapular area, no? So the primary pathologist never even realized that this was a salivary gland, and neither did you realize it was a salivary gland. Okay, and you're all busy thinking of what possible tumor this could be in the area of the scapula. So this is an acinic cell carcinoma of the parotid gland, and this is mislabeling of the tissue. Okay, so we went back to the original lab, and the investigation by the referring pathologist revealed that two cases were switched by the referring hospital. One was a teenager with a preauricular lymph nodule, rather, and the other was an adult with a sebaceous cyst. So which is the one that this case belongs to? The teenager or the adult?
Teenage preauricular nodule.
So what is the preauricular nodule? What is there in the preauricular area?
Parotid gland.
Parotid gland. It is in front and also behind the ear, and it wraps around the lobule of the ear, right? So that's how the parotid goes. So when we call them up, and why did this case come to us? Please tell me what kind of adenocarcinoma is there in the scapular area. Okay, but this is not an adenocarcinoma in the scapular area. This is a mix-up. So the patient with the sebaceous cyst got the scapular diagnosis, and the one with the scapular diagnosis, that means the sebaceous, the other one who should have got the acinic cell tumor has got the diagnosis of sebaceous cyst. So you agree that, Omkar, this is about lateral thinking? Yes or no? What was your diagnosis before you came?
I
What was your diagnosis?
read about appendigeal tumors. I could match it to apocrine carcinoma, but not completely.
So you thought of appendigeal tumors. Okay, that's because you never noticed that there was a. What did you not notice, Omkar? What did you not notice? Where did you go wrong? Because where you went wrong, everybody went wrong. So don't worry about it. What?
That arrangement of the normal salivary gland in terms of the acini.
You did not ask your first question, is there any normal tissue? Okay, if you had asked that question, is there any normal tissue, and you would have noticed that whatever I should have found in the region of the scapula is not there. On the contrary, I am seeing and exocrine gland. And exocrine glands are not in the skin. Do you understand that now? Omkar?
Yes, ma'am.
Very
Yes,
good. Very good. Thank you for taking that case, Omkar. So you knew Edward de Bono, you knew about lateral thinking. Now you have to apply it to what you do in your everyday thing. All right, who's going to take number 3? Ravneet, come on.
Yes, ma'am.
Read.
Slide is not visible.
Slide is not visible. Is it visible to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Come on. Can you see it, Ravneet?
No.
You can't? Ravneet, can you see it? All right, I think she's having internet problems. Let's ask Rashmi to do this. Come on, Rashmi.
No, ma'am. Slide is not visible.
That's
So
true.
yes, I can see. Yes,
Oh,
I
you
can see.
it?
Yes,
All right,
ma'am.
come on then.
I'm a 54 years old female with bilateral ovarian cyst.
Mm.
Total abdominal hysterectomy and the bilateral salpingo done. And the right ovary has 8.5 centimeter and multiloculated cystic mass with the papillary excrescences. And the left ovary has 9 centimeter and multiloculated cystic mass with papillary excrescences. There is omentum showed deposits and they received the blocks for review with an outside diagnosis of a serous tumor of the ovary.
All right, very good. Come on, Ravneet.
Slide next slide.
No, I've got the next slide. Is everybody
Yes.
seeing it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Ravneet.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, there are cystic spaces and the solid area. There are multiple cystic spaces and they are lying.
Ravneet, just humor me, please. What are you supposed to do when you are looking at something under low power? Otherwise, you say, I am not going to do it. I'll do it my way. What are you supposed to do?
Is there normal or abnormal
It's
tissue?
not, is there normal or abnormal tissue? Is there any normal tissue? Yes. So,
No, ma'am.
nothing. What are you expecting, Ravneet? You can't say yes or no unless you know what to expect. So, what is it that you are expecting?
Ovarian tissue,
Ovarian tissue, all right.
epithelium or stroma.
Yes. Ovarian tissue, epithelium or stroma. Okay. And outside the ovary, what are you expecting?
Mm.
What? What is outside the ovary? You know that you have an ovary, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes. So, what is the ovary covered by?
Fallopian tubes and
Fallopian tube. The fallopian tube covers the ovary.
no,
Round ligament.
The round ligament covers the ovary.
peritoneum,
Peritoneum. Yes. Okay. It's called the epithelium of the ovary. right?
epithelium of the
So you should get a single line epithelium of the ovary, which is a continuation of the mesothelial lining. Very good. Then what happens towards the hilum of the ovary? What do you get there? What is there near the hilum of the ovary?
Fimbriae.
Fimbria, near the hilum of the ovary.
Fimbriae.
Nidhi, I think
Yes, ma'am.
you better go and do some histological, go and revise your histology. There are no fimbria near the hilum of the ovary. Okay?
Okay.
Lots of people are answering in the chat box, and they are saying blood vessels, thick-walled blood vessels. No, because you have the ovarian artery, you have the ovarian vein, you have a plexus over there at the hilum of the ovary. Okay, because the ovary is a very, very vascular organ. It is supposed to be. In late adult life or in postmenopausal, it shrinks. It becomes like a walnut. Okay, so are you seeing anything that is normal now that I've told you that, Ravneet?
Yes, ma'am. There are many blood
You
vessels
can
at the
see
top.
thick-walled blood vessels that are
Blood
seen
vessels.
over there. So it's very likely, at least you can say, and they said it was cystic, and they said on growth that there were papillary excrescences. Yes or no? Yeah, and you're seeing that, no? You're seeing papillary excrescences, you're seeing a cystic
Yes, ma'am.
part of this ovary, you see part of the
Excrescences.
ovarian cortex here to the bottom right, which is always very thick and pink. And you're seeing blood vessels at the opposite end, which could very well be the ovarian hilum. So yes, we're probably seeing something that looks like it should be the ovary. Okay. See, you can see that over there. You see the thick ovarian cortex over there, or the capsule, if you wish to call it that. And now when you look at this lining, now do you see normal ovary over here? See this, the blue ovarian
Yes, ma'am.
cortical structure. It's there. Okay, capsule, cortex, and you're seeing this. Okay, now describe this, not the left-hand side, because we've already seen it at low power. What do you want to say about this?
And there are multiple cystic spaces which
No,
are
no, the
lining.
right-hand side, now the multiple
Right side,
spaces is
okay.
over. Yes.
And there is a cystic lining which is pseudostratified.
Lining, yes. So
Cyst with a lining which is pseudostratified and
pseudostratified, okay.
see,
Why pseudostratified? Okay.
because
Yeah, it's a single line.
single line,
Yeah, but what kind of cells are they?
columnar.
Very good. They're columnar
Columnar
cells. Yes, the
cells.
nuclei, maybe you're right, pseudostratified if you wish to call it that.
Yes.
Okay. So what kind of cysts do we recognize in the ovary? What are the different linings of the cysts in the ovary?
Intrusion cysts.
No, I'm asking about the lining of the cysts. What kind of different linings of the cysts do you have?
Ma'am, serous cyst or
Serous,
mucinous
very
cyst
good. Then,
and mucinous cyst.
sorry.
Mucinous cyst.
So serous cyst, mucinous cyst. Any other cyst? They should come out like that. Tuck.
Hemorrhagic cyst.
Hemorrhagic cyst is a lining. The lining of the cyst is hemorrhagic.
No, ma'am.
No. So somebody said seromucinous. Okay, seromucinous. What else? Endometrioid. Baba, this is basic pathology. No, you have three kinds of cysts. You have serous cyst, mucinous cyst, endometrioid cyst. Seromucinous is a kind of a cyst which is essentially endometrioid. But never mind that. Let us not complicate it. It is serous, mucinous, and endometrioid. Excellent. Now come on, Ravneet. Which is this lining? You've got three choices. 1, 2, 3. Which is it?
And serous lining.
Serous.
Serous.
Excellent. This is the lining that actually we saw in that fallopian tube. It resembles the fallopian tube. That is what a serous lining resembles. It resembles the fallopian tube. It also has the snouts if you look very carefully, and very often also has cilia. That is what a serous lining is. Okay. So remember this as far as the three kinds of cysts that we have. All right. Good. Now what do you see over here?
Spindle cells in the stroma.
Spindle cells in the stroma. Why are we looking at the spindle cells in the stroma, Ravneet? What should we be looking at? So when I show you something, you may look at the stroma. You don't pay attention to what is actually happening over here. You saw a flat lining over there. What are you seeing?
Papillary structures.
Yeah, it's like pulling
Papillary.
teeth, no, one by one, like a dentist pulling teeth. I have to get it out of you, Ravneet. All right, there is a papillary you can see papillary excrescences.
Papillary
You can see papillary
Yes,
excrescences, right? What do we call that kind of cyst in which there are papillary structures? What do we call them? So you have cyst adenoma, you have cyst, borderline cystic
Cystic
tumor, and
tumors,
you have cyst
malignant.
adenocarcinoma.
Cyst
Yes.
adenocarcinoma.
Low grade, high grade. Okay. Variant of a cyst adenoma could be a cyst adenofibroma.
Fibroma,
Now, out of this cyst adenofibroma, borderline serous tumor, cyst, low grade serous cyst adenoma, a cyst adenocarcinoma, and high grade serous cyst adenocarcinoma, what will you pick, Ravneet? What will you pick?
Then serous cyst fibroadenoma.
Serous cyst adenofibroma.
Fibroadenoma.
Yes. Now you're second year, so I'm not going to fault you. Nidhi, what would you call this?
Ma'am, borderline.
Yes, so this is a borderline cyst. It's a serous cyst adenofibroma with borderline change. All right, good, because it's borderline, because there is stratification of the nuclei and so on. All right, so I would concede that this is a serous borderline tumor. Okay, and you saw that over here. There's a very sort of complex kind of papillary structure. So fine. So I have no issues about this. Somebody says, oh, I can only see a single lining. Fair, cyst adenofibroma. That's all right. But there was something else that was also present in this cyst. Okay, and here it is. You saw it, no? Yeah, Ravneet, did you see it?
Mm.
Here it is, no, right in front of you. So you see this cystic lining?
Yes,
It's cyst all very flat. There's a small area of proliferative change over here. And then is this big nodule. It looks big on because it is magnified, but there is a nodule and it is sitting in the middle of that cyst. Okay, so what observation do you want to make about this, Ravneet? Any observation you want to make? Tell me.
Ma'am, this is a bluish sheets sheeting
Yes, it's a
pattern.
nodule.
Nodule.
You
Solid
think
pattern.
to call it a nodule? Yes, it's a nodule. Why is it a
Nodule.
nodule?
And
Because it has an arc-like periphery.
periphery. Yes, ma'am.
All nodules anything that does not have an arc-like periphery cannot be called a nodule. Okay, it has to be well defined with an arc-like periphery. So you know what is an arc? It looks like a part of a circle. Okay, so it has that. And what else does it have? This nodule have?
And
It's
so-
sheet-like, no? It's
sheet-like.
blue, completely blue.
Solid.
What does this blue business mean? When you see something that's blue, what do you expect when you go to hyper?
Ma'am, basophilic, very cellular and
Very cellular, extremely. Yes, you're right.
basophilic
Yes.
cells.
But can you get very
nuclear
cellular pink things also? You can.
Yes,
No?
ma'am. Yes,
It's
ma'am.
not very cellular thing in the first case. They were not clear cells. So you can get. It's telling you that it's cellular, but it's also telling you something else. What is it telling you? It's telling you that
Nuclear-
there is
nuclear-
less cytoplasm. That means
Nuclear changes are more.
cytoplasm ratio is increased. So there is less cytoplasm and there is more of the nucleus, or the cytoplasm is blue. Right? That is also possible, no? Now there may be some things that which have a cytoplasm that is blue. We saw it in the previous case in which it was amphiphilic, in some parts it is blue, because when you have something like the parotid and you look at the parotid, I'm not talking about this case, it looks very blue as compared to the submandibular salivary gland. Why? Because it's got those zymogen granules in the cytoplasm that give it a blue color. So this is what we can say. There is a nodule. That nodule is very cellular. It probably has very little cytoplasm, but there's something else that should strike you. Absolutely
hemorrhage.
strike any of you. Yes, Ramneet.
Ma'am, hemorrhage is present and the small
there is
blood vessels.
Okay, very good.
Blood vessels are also seen.
You know that this is what I'm saying about lateral thinking. Okay, you have to make observations. I'm seeing a nodule. It's just sitting there, staring at me. Okay, now I have to make sense of this nodule. I have got a tumor which I can make sense of. It's a papillary cyst adenofibroma. It may be serous. It may be borderline. Whatever. That I can make sense of. Now suddenly I see this nodule. I have to make sense of it. Right, Ramneet?
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
Okay, so while you're thinking, let me ask Lavdi. Lavdi, what else is passing through your mind when you're looking at this nodule? Huh, Lavdi? You're there, Lavdi?
Yes, ma'am.
So nobody's thinking, why is that? How does a nodule just sit like that?
Ma'am, it seems like it's not belong to this place.
What it's saying, it's not attached anywhere.
Attached anywhere and it's
Exactly.
floating,
That is
floating
the
in the
first thing
space.
that will come to my mind. Hey, where is this attached from? Now it could have a very long stem, and then this is just floating. But where is that stem? Huh?
No.
This thing is just sitting there without any attachment to the cyst wall. So this is bothering me. And this is where I'm talking about how you have to pay attention. And most of the time, what people are doing is asking, it's like a train running on the chuck, 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 chuck. You know what you all are saying in your head? What's the diagnosis? What's the diagnosis? What's the diagnosis? You are not sitting there to pay attention to observations which normally we just don't take into account. We did take into account two very important observations in the previous two cases, and here we have something and it is not attached anywhere. All right, but we're still curious, no? We have to go and see it at hyper. So come on, what are we seeing at hyper?
Ma'am, it's ma'am, the cells are mildly pleomorphic, medium, small to medium in size, and hyperchromatic, vesicular to hyperchromatic nuclei. So hyperchromatic to vesicular nuclei with prominent nuclei. Ma'am, it looks like a transitional epithelium.
It looks like transitional
transitional
epithelium.
epithelium.
So you agree that it looks epithelioid, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And some people in the chat box are saying bladder, bladder, bladder. Okay. Okay. Now tell me, do you think that this is bladder? And tell me if you think it's bladder, why you think it's bladder, and if you think it's bladder, then why not?
Ma'am, maybe it's a floater.
It may be anything,
Maybe
but please tell me why you think it's bladder. Somebody's saying bladder. Never mind where it is coming from, but tell me why it is or is not bladder. What did we say it was?
Ma'am, it was
Okay. It was a nodule, right?
nodule. Yes, ma'am.
Now you tell me, if somebody's saying bladder and you're saying transitional epithelium, look at the periphery. Does this periphery look like bladder?
Ma'am, it seems like the papillas are
Looks like a
fused together
papilla.
and
It cannot be a papilla, it's solid.
solid sheet, solid pattern.
So it's solid sheet, so it cannot be a papilla. It is a nodule. And
Nodule.
it is a nodule with a sharp circumscription. Look at it, you can see the periphery of this nodule. Okay. So those who are saying bladder, I agree that it looks epithelioid or epithelial. Okay, it's all sticking together. That's what we mean by epithelioid, that there is a cohesion. There's no doubt about the cohesion over here. Okay, this doesn't look like it's a lymphoma, or it doesn't look like it's a some other kind of round cell tumor, which is some thing like a Ewing's or anything. It does look epithelioid. It's not spindle cell. At least it doesn't look very spindle cell to here. See, you can see that. Look at that sharp border. Okay, it really does look epithelioid. Epithelioid nodule can you get, and why is it sitting within this ovarian cyst? Okay, now look at it. Now you can see the nuclei. They're very pale. They have very small, inconspicuous nuclei. And we were right that it doesn't have much cytoplasm. And that cytoplasm is not distinct. Can you see? You can't see cell boundaries very clearly. Okay, it has a kind of merging into one another kind of appearance. Okay, so we made our observations under low power. Okay, so let's ask, is there any normal tissue? What was your answer? The answer is
Yes.
yes. Of course there is normal tissue.
Yes.
Huh? Yes or no? No, there is normal tissue. And this was the ovary, and there was that thing. I'm sorry, this should not be. No, it is yes. Okay, next, is there any abnormal tissue? Which should not be there.
Yes.
And the answer is
Yes.
of course, the ovary itself is abnormal, and there is this nodule-like thing. Okay, and this nodule-like thing is actually, it's almost like a rabbit that is grinning at you, saying, "What am I?" kind of thing. So, what would you do first to investigate the nature of the nodule? See, I've given you some options. You do immunohistochemistry. You want to check the histopathology report, or you want to study the morphology carefully. What do you want to do? Ramneet.
Check the histopathology.
All right. Why do you want to check the histopathology report? Why? And here's the histopathology report. I've given it to you.
Mhm.
So, what do you find from that? Yes.
Study the morphology carefully.
You want to study the morphology, but here is the histopathology report, Ramneet. What are you studying it for? Because I haven't done the histopathology. I mean, I haven't done the gross report over here. Yes? This is gross, no? I'm giving you the gross. So, then what do you notice in the gross?
Solid,
Huh?
solid areas, solid.
There is not a single mention of any nodule. Do you notice?
Nodule. Yes, ma'am.
Nothing. There is no mention of the nodule.
nodule.
Exactly. So now, where did the nodule come from? So that is something that. So either they have missed the nodule and then embedded it, or there was no nodule at all, and that somebody then went and.
Maybe floater.
Yeah, floater. Yeah, floater means it's on your water bath, but this is not come from the water bath because it's there in the block. I told you we received the blocks, so it hasn't come from the water bath. That is a floater because it floats on your water bath. Okay, and here is the whole HP report, even the histology. No mention of a nodule seen on gross examination. No mention of the nodule in the microscopy, and the diagnosis that was offered was what we also said: no serious tumor, possible borderline type. So now we have an issue. Where did this nodule come from? And we never got anything else except blocks for review. Okay, so what do you think I should do now, Ramneet? What do you think I should do? What should I do? I got a real question over here.
I read devaxing the block and
Devaxing the block. No, I have to go and see in that block. No, whether this is there or like you said, some technician has put a float in it. So what should I do? I should go and recut the block.
recut.
Absolutely, I have to recut the block. And if I find the nodule in it, it means that it's there in the block, so it's come from the previous lab, no? And somebody has not noticed it, or for some reason they have re-embedded the block, and along with that, there is this nodule. Okay, so where did the nodule come from? So our lab introduced it. It was overlooked by the previous lab on gross and microscopy. It does not belong to this patient, or all of the above. So what will you choose, Ramneet? You see how that nodule is laughing at you? It's smiling. It's saying, I have given you
all of the above.
all of the above. Absolutely. So everything has to be systematically checked. Okay. So now, what are the possibilities for this nodule? Separately lying nodule associated with an ovarian serous borderline tumor, and we all said whatever. So what is it? A sex cord stromal tumor? Endometrial stromal tumor? Is it a leiomyoma? All of the above, and it doesn't make sense because it's not attached to this thing at all. It looks like somebody has just plonked it into that. Okay. It could be all of the above. It would be extremely uncommon for anything. All right. So now we go all the way down. Is it physiological, pathological? No. It is neoplastic. I can't say what it is, and I now need to go and type it. Okay, so I need to do immunohistochemistry on this because I don't make out what it is by just looking at this because first of all, I don't even know whether it belongs in this case. So we did some immunohistochemistry, right? There was no CK, there was no EMA in this, there is some SMA, no desmin, no caldesmon, CD10, inhibin, nothing in this. So now what should I do? I know you're only second and you don't do immunohistochemistry, but at least we can say that this is not something like an epithelial tumor. It is a mesenchymal tumor.
Mesenchymal tumor.
Correct, but it is a mesenchymal tumor that looks epithelioid. That at least we can say, yes, Ramneet?
Yes, ma'am.
Lovely, correct? Okay, so now what are those epithelioid tumors? Those mesenchymal tumors that look epithelioid. You know any of them? Let me ask Nidhi because she's in the third year. Come on, Nidhi, what are those epithelioid mesenchymal tumors? Any that you know of? Could they be smooth muscle tumors? Yes, it is, but desmin is negative. So and so also is H-caldesmon. So it is not an epithelioid smooth muscle tumor. Okay, anybody in the chat box is saying anything? So what other epithelioid tumors are there that are of mesenchymal derivation? What else? Is it an epithelioid sarcoma? No, epithelioid sarcomas don't look like this. Epithelioid sarcomas are not uniform. Epithelioid sarcomas have all kinds of appearances, and they are CK and EMA positive, which this tumor was not. So, come on, anybody in the chat box?
Yes, ma'am.
I see one offering over there. I see two offerings over there. Third offering, and they are all right. This is a gastrointestinal stromal tumor. Okay, so it's not leiomyoma, it's not endometrial stromal tumor, it's not sex cord stromal tumor, and what I didn't show you was CD34. And look at CD34, it's brilliantly positive. Okay, so whenever we are examining a mesenchymal tumor, we have to do CD34, SMA, desmin, S100 protein, and whatever other markers we might need for a particular site. And that's why we did whatever inhibin and calvitamin and other things for this particular site. Okay, and there you are, dog one and Yeah, you see CD34, you have dot 1 and c-kit. Okay, so this is a gastrointestinal stromal tumor. So what is it doing in the middle of that ovary? Okay, it is gastrointestinal stromal tumor. And what was it doing there? Does it represent a metastatic gist to the ovarian tumor? Is it a nomental metastasis of a gastrointestinal stromal tumor? Rubbish. Is it lab error? The answer is it is lab error. Okay, so the primary lab was asked to check whether a gist was grossed on the same day and whether it looked like this. And the answer was, what was the answer, Ramneet? Yes. Okay, so the lab had introduced the nodule into the section, but had not even known that it was there. Okay, so once again, Ramneet, you see how we have to not
Yes, ma'am.
accept everything that we see unless we can find an explanation for it. All right, very good. So now we come to the last, and I think who wants to take this? How should we? Lavdeep, do you want to take this, or Rashmi wants to take it?
Yes, ma'am.
Who's this? Who said yes, ma'am? Rashmi.
Me, Lavdeep.
Lavdeep, come on. I hope your internet remains stable. Come on. This is a very
48-year-old
simple case.
female, bilateral ovarian masses, received blocks for review with an outside diagnosis of mucinous carcinoma.
All right, good. So what is this now, Lavdeep? Jaldi, just say. What is it?
Ma'am,
What are you seeing over here?
I cannot see next slide.
Sorry, you can't see the slide. Then your internet is
Yes,
unstable.
now I can see the slide.
Good. There's a lag. That's all right. Tell me.
Ma'am, the first
Spot
question is
diagnosis. What is this, Lavdeep? Don't describe it. Spot diagnosis.
mucinous,
Spot diagnosis.
mucinous.
Mucinous. Mucinous cystic tumor, right? And you can see just one
Yes.
layer of, there is no layer, heaping up of the nuclei. There is just one layer of nuclei that is basally situated. And you can see the tall columnar mucin secreting epithelium. Yeah. And there are no goblet cells. Very good. So this mucinous epithelium resembles what? In the ovary, we said there are 3 types of epithelium, right? Serous resembles fallopian tube. Endometrioid resembles what, Lavdeep? Uterus. Yes. What, you don't know that endometrioid resembles uterus?
Uterus.
Endometrial lining, no, of the uterus. So serous
Yes.
epithelium resembles the epithelium of the fallopian tube. Endometrioid resembles the lining of the uterus, which is the endometrium. And what does this non-goblet type epithelium? There's no goblet cells here. Many ovarian tumors have goblet cells, and when they have goblet cells, they resemble the lining of the intestine. But if they don't have goblet cells, what do they resemble?
Endocervix.
Correct. So there's fallopian tube, there is endometrium, there is endocervix. So this looks like endocervical mucinous tumor. Okay, it looks like that because it's there. Very good, Lovely. What about this? Now what do you see? Does this look like endocervical or is there something else?
You cannot see next
You
slide.
can see mucinous epithelium, right? Yes or no,
Yes,
Lovely? Yeah.
Yes,
So now,
ma'am.
did this look like the previous or it looks different?
It looks different.
In what way does it look different?
I can see goblet cells in it.
Very good. So you can see goblet cells. Now this is beginning to resemble intestinal epithelium. And there are many, exactly. So there are many mucinous tumors that have a mixture of goblet and non-goblet type mucinous tall columnar epithelial cells. Okay, and you can see that there's some mucin that is present in the lumen of these cystic spaces. Okay, what do you see here now? What is this structure? This whole area, this PowerPoint slide, what is it showing you? Lovely. What is the whole slide? And then of course you have these mucinous cysts. Okay, it's a cyst which has got a mucinous lining. But what is all this? Lovely. Can you recognize this tissue? So what is this normal tissue?
Stromal,
Stroma.
ovarian.
Ovarian stroma, excellent. Yes. So this is the ovarian stroma close to the capsule. You can see the close to the lining, epithelial lining of the ovary. So this patient has got a large mucinous cystadenoma, has got multiple little cysts in the ovary. You might call them inclusion cysts, but they are lined partly by squamous, I'm saying squamous, partly by mucinous epithelium and partly by a flattened epithelium. And somebody might say, oh, this is like a pseudomucinous cyst. No, it's not. This is just a cuboid. A part of it is mucinous. Okay, so the usual lining of the inclusion cysts in the ovary in this place shows mucinous metaplasia. See, you can see that. This is otherwise the normal flat cuboidal lining of the inclusion cysts of the ovary, which has undergone mucinous metaplasia. Here there is no goblet. Correct, Navdeep?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes or no? Oh, yes, say yes then. But now what do we see? That is the mucinous cyst. Excellent. What do you see on the left-hand side? Lovely. What is this whole piece of tissue? You know what it is because you recognized it before, right? So what is this? I'm not talking about these, what's in the box. I'm talking about what is there all around. It looks so blue.
Ovarian stroma.
Ovarian stroma. You see all these corpora albicans and all this. So you've got ovarian tissue over here, ovarian stroma. And in that ovarian stroma, what do you see? Come on, Lovely.
Ma'am, it looks like a
Not
collectional
it.
body.
What is that it? And people only say it. When you're writing a description, you can't say it looks like. You have to say what is that it. So what is that it? Come on. How would you start a description of these 4 structures and a 5th one over there? What I
Structures
even use the word, huh? There
Structures
are
marked in the
structures, exactly. So whenever you don't know what something is, you say there is a structure. That's the way as pathologists we start our descriptions. Okay, there is a structure. So now tell me, this structure is, how will you describe it? Or if you don't know, then you say foci or whatever, but you have to describe. Now describe. There is the focus which shows, or a structure which shows. Come on.
a structure which shows a pink pink highline material.
No, Rabi, that's not a systematic way to do it. Do it from outside in or inside out, whichever way, but do it in a systematic fashion. So what would you choose to do over here, Rabi?
Outside
What
to
would you choose
inside.
to do? Huh?
Outside to inside.
Outside in. Very good. So come on. Now, so there is a structure which at the periphery has what?
nuclear lining.
A nuclear lining, nothing can have a nuclear lining. Nothing can have a nuclear lining. How can you have a line of nuclei without having a cell, please, Navdeep? So they have the nuclei must be inside cells. Yes or no, Navdeep?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. So come on. What kind of cells are they which have a basal nuclei, Come on. Well, you can't see this. What is the nature of these cells? You don't know? You can't see? Come on, what is the nature? Columnar, so say it.
Tall columnar.
Tall columnar cells which have basally placed nuclei forming a ring at the periphery. Okay, so there's a ring of tall columnar cells with basally situated nuclei, all uniform, round, basally situated nuclei. Excellent. Then what do you have? Now you have said the outside, lovely. Now you're going inside. So what do you see?
Inside the structure, there is pink material.
No, that's not what you will say. That there are perfectly round, no? So spherical structures. So even these are spherical, but we are seeing them cut, right? So that's why we talk about, so these are spherical structures, and you have spherical structures inside which show the same nuclei. Can you see that? They're also got tall columnar nuclei, and with basally situated, which line a space. Okay, you can see that, no? There is a space, and that space has got what? It has got a deeply eosinophilic colloid-like material. No, that's what you're seeing here. Yeah, if it had been in the thyroid, you wouldn't have called it like that. So yes, you can call it an eosinophilic, deeply eosinophilic body. You can call it a colloid-like material, whatever. But that is what you are seeing. Okay, and you have multiple of these little spherical spaces within this large structure, which has got a columnar lining with basally situated nuclei. It's almost as if there are this inside-out appearance. It's the same cells, except that in the center they seem to have formed little balls. They're all spheres, but they're all cut at right angles, and you can see that. So now, Navdeep, does anything come to your mind, or it should come to Nidhi's mind, because she might have seen this before, or someone could have seen it before, and I hope that people are saying something.
Annular tubules.
Annular tubules. Okay, that's what it is called. But they are not really tubules because this is not a long structure. It's usually it is a spherical structure, but it looks tubular when you cut it. Okay, so what are those spherical structures that we get in? You see that? It's almost like thick, basically membrane-like material, but you can call it colloid-like or whatever. It's a beautiful structure. Look at it. Okay. And what are these spherical structures that you see in normal ovaries, which this resembles in a certain way? Yeah, the Graafian follicles, cells, things like that. But this is what is seen in very primitive gonads. Okay, that's how it looks like before you get the gonads as they develop. Okay, so this is called annular. Yes, they are annular tubules. And then you see other structures in that. You see this is the fallopian tube, and the fallopian tube is also showing mucinous metaplasia over here. And you know it's the fallopian tube because you see that there is a epithelial lining, and you see this papillae that which all fallopian tubes have. The lining of the fallopian tube is papillary. Okay, so there is fallopian tube, there is papillary. Mucinous metaplasia of the fallopian tube. There you are. See this? This is all the lining, and you can see mucinous metaplasia and also glandular, almost like a sort of mini mucinous cystadenoma that is happening in that fallopian tube and the ovarian hilum. So if you have to answer the question, is there any normal tissue? Come on, Lovely, is there?
Yes.
Yes, you saw ovarian tumor, tissue, right? There you are. Also, you saw a bit of the fallopian tube epithelium over here, which has undergone mucinous metaplasia. Is there any abnormal tissue? Of course, there is abnormal tissue. And much of this abnormal tissue is this mucinous metaplasia, both with goblet cells and without goblet cells. And everything is undergoing this metaplasia, including the inclusion cyst in the ovary, the fallopian tube. This is a cystic mucinous cyst adenoma in the ovary. And then you have these very strange looking structures. The answer, of course, is abnormal tissue. And these scattered spherical structures with a very distinctive appearance. Okay. And this is what these structures are called. And these structures resemble what is known in a tumor, in which you get lots of these structures, with annular tubules. It's called a Sertoli cell tumor with annular tubules. So it's an appearance resembling both granulosa cells and Sertoli cells. It's a very primitive structure that you see in a developing gonad before it decides that it's the ovary or the testes. So that is what you can get a whole tumor made up of all of this. But in this particular instance, you are getting these little spherical structures and the mucinous epithelium. Okay, so what is this? This is a patient who has a rare syndrome. Yes. Did anybody make this diagnosis? I hope you did. It is the PJ syndrome. Yes. It shows mucinous neoplasm of the ovary. It can be benign or even a low-grade mucinous neoplasm. You'd never get a carcinoma. Multifocal mucinous metaplasia of the fallopian tube, as well as of the cortical cysts, and scattered nodules that resemble the Sertoli cell tumor with annular tubules. And this patient, we asked, is this patient the case of PJ syndrome? And the answer was yes. And this patient also had localized pelvic pseudomyxoma associated with the ovarian tumor. Okay, so this is one case in which even if the the original referring pathologist, or if the clinician doesn't know that the patient has a PJ syndrome, you can tell them that this patient does indeed have the PJ syndrome, because you never get this combination of structures in the ovary, and this mucinous metaplasia, etc., without in any other situation except for this PJ syndrome. Okay, and I think all of you know what is the PJ syndrome, so I don't have to tell you this. And you get all of these things, but one of these things, apart from whatever we get in the colon, is this adenoma malignum, which is now called gastric type adenocarcinoma of the cervix. Very deceptive tumor, very difficult to make a diagnosis, but is usually outside of the cervix by the time the patient presents, or if you miss the diagnosis, then it grows there, and the patients come very late for surgery. Okay, so I hope now that you enjoyed this. This looks like somebody who's looking at you and thinking, right? And therefore, it's saying to you, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Not at all. So if there are any questions in the chat box or anything, let me stop this sharing. Yeah. So if there are any questions in the chat box, I'll be very happy to answer them.
One question is there, ma'am.
Oh, one question only. Oh, nice.
Yes, ma'am. What is pseudomyxoma?
Oh, so there's somebody called Suni Nahal. Okay, pseudomyxoma is mucin that is within the tissues or the true mucin, okay, which is in the peritoneum, either the pelvic peritoneum or the general peritoneum, and it has been secreted by a mucinous tumor. The common pseudomyxoma is produced by an appendicular, low-grade appendicular mucinous neoplasm, but low-grade mucinous tumors of the ovary, sometimes, very rarely, a mucocele of the appendix, because I don't believe that there is a mucocele that can produce a pseudomyxoma, and it is a spilling out of mucin into the peritoneal cavity. Why is it called pseudomyxoma? Because this is true mucin and not myxoma. Okay, so myxoma is the mesenchymal type of mucin, and this is true epithelial mucin. Okay. What
Another question.
exactly does serous mean? I can see
Yes,
that. All right. So I don't know who's asked that question. Oh, Babita. Okay. Serous is a type of secretion which is the opposite of mucin. It's a very thin kind of secretion. Okay. So your salivary glands, the pancreas, and yes, your tears that come from the lacrimal gland are all serous secretion. So it is the opposite of thick, viscid secretions, which is mucin. That's all. So anything that is thin and watery is called serous. Okay. That's why your serum is called serum. It's thin and watery. Okay. And then when you have little blebs and blisters, you call something serous material is oozing out. It's thin and watery. Otherwise you call it viscid or some other term. So that's all that serous means. And that's why something that is secreting a serous kind of mucin is called serous gland. Yeah. I hope that's clear. It is just an adjective that is used for something that is thin and watery. Okay. Any other questions? Somebody called Ray has added it is cell poor. No, serous, it's not true. You can have a cell poor mucinous thing, but you can't call it serous. No? All right. Any other? If not, thank you very much. I have to thank
Thank you, ma'am.
all of our students. Every one of you was